It's daunting. Kids were learning from home for so long. And if they were taking a class, for example, pre-algebra or algebra, or even fourth grade math, where there's a heavy emphasis on fractions, decimals, and percents, and these are foundational skills for math kids will see later on, those kids were most affected because they missed those important skills they have to have from which everything builds. So it's easy to see why math, which is a cumulative subject, was most impacted when we look at these scores across the country.
It's really daunting, isn't it, to consider the educational slide our kids have taken?
It is. And this report's looking at reading and math, but in my practice and my tutoring business, we're also seeing kids that, missed out on a lot of writing skills. And writing is hard to quantify. How well can you write a paragraph or an essay? But when kids didn't write for this period of time and didn't get feedback, they're struggling there. And another area is just good old fashioned study habits, being able to sit down and focus long enough to get your homework done. We're also seeing kids are having a hard time in that area.
So we know sort of how far behind they've gotten. What about your recommendations for students to catch up? Or is catching up really the right way to think about this?
I think we do want to think about how we can help our kids solidify their skills. And one is, as a parent, just to pay attention to see where your child is struggling. And if you see it is in one of these cumulative subjects like math, a math-based science when kids are in high school, or even a foreign language where one skill does build upon another, it's really hard to teach yourself that subject. So that's when you want to reach out to the teacher, ask, is there an after-school program? How can my child get help? It's actually a great time to reach out to teachers because November, especially for elementary schoolers, that first week in November, in most districts is parent conferences. But if you have a child in middle or high school when they typically don't go in for a parent conference, there are teacher work days built in at the end of the quarter. And this is an ideal time to reach out and ask, how is my child doing? What can I do to support my child? So I think as parents, we just need to be a little bit more vigilant.